So today we are going to start with the working, analysis and characteristics of NMOS enhancement type transistors, which will lay the foundation for our first thing, that is frequency response and amplifier design. Very important. So this is the same circuit that we have used to draw the characteristics in our labs. If you can recollect, I had taken this as 0. So this terminal was 0, 0. This was 2 and this was 1. And then from this we wrote spice code. And then we simulated the circuit, we saw the characteristics and so on. So the same thing that we are going to do here is that please note down this circuit. Please note down this circuit. So here we have ID. So here we have ID. Gate, this is the drain, this is the source, and this is the body. Gate, drain, source and body. So this is the symbol of the N-channel MOSFET. So generally the symbol that we can have a look at when we draw our circuits, we will write generally like this: drain, gate, source and body. And it is understood that body of the NMOS will always be grounded. So this is going to be for the PMOS. So PMOS, I will just draw it here. Again the same thing. This time this will be my source, drain and gate, and the arrow is pointing inside for the PMOS. Some books will also put a bubble here for the PMOS, but arrow pointing in is sufficient to tell us that okay, this is a PMOS. This is my ID. This is the ID. Please note that drain current, this is my drain current, and it always flows from drain to source. It always flows from drain to source. Okay, so I'll just wait for 2 minutes till you quickly draw this diagram. And so this diagram is drawn symbol wise. So this thing is this much is the symbol of the MOSFET. This is the symbol. And what we generally do is we vary VGS and VDS. So when you are doing the input characteristics, input char, ID is a function of VGS. So VDS remains constant. That is why ID versus VGS, and output characteristics will be ID versus VDS. So this is the diagram for that. So no need to write all this, but just take down the circuit diagram. Now let us go to the next part. So this is actually a symbol, but actually what happens at the device level. So now all of you will draw the MOSFET with me. Okay, we will draw it together. So I'm just going to the next slide. Only what is expected from this slide is only the circuit diagram, nothing else. This circuit diagram I am just keeping it here for our reference, drain gate, source and body. So you can see that first we need to create the MOSFET M1. So how will you create that? So first draw one square like this, okay, and it's a three-dimensional structure. So how much long it is at the back we don't know for now. So let us draw it that way. Then after drawing this square, you can name this as P silicon. You can name this as P silicon. So when the substrate is P type, we are talking about a NMOS. We are talking about a NMOS. Okay. Now on the in the substrate, what you can do is you can just divide this in this way, and inside the, so this is my oxide and this is my P substrate, and inside the oxide I will draw one metal like this. I will draw another small box that is of metal. So here we have gate, this is SiO2, that is oxide. So you can see here this is metal, this portion is actually oxide, and this is my, so you can see that your MOS structure builds here, MOS. Okay. So first please draw like this, don't write this MOS, just told you to explain. So once you are done with this, just write done in the chat box. So first we created the MOS structure, and we know that when we give a gate voltage, we are going to get channel somewhere here. We are going to get inversion, some channel here, just below the gate. That is where we are going to get it. So first we build this. Now we know the position of the channel. So what we should do is we should make some connections to the channel. So we are doing we are putting two implants, that is N plus. Now why these implants are N? Because the channel that we are going to get in a NMOS is N channel. That is why these implants are N. And please note that this body has to be connected to ground. This body has to be connected to ground. So body is this P silicon. So to connect P silicon to ground, we should have another implant of P silicon. So this P gets connected to P silicon, and N plus and this N plus are connection to the channel. This is called as drain. This is called as the gate. This is the source, and this is the body. So you all should first reach this particular structure, and then we can say that we have built M1. Now after making M1, we need to put VGS and VDS as well. So how do we connect that? That is the next question. So first please all of you draw this. Please draw a little bit fast, and do not take much effort of drawing today. Please try to understand what I am explaining.
Done, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now you can see that body, you can see that body and source are connected to ground. body and source are connected to ground. So first I will show this connection. Body and source are connected to ground. Then you can see that VGS is connected between gate and source or body, which are ultimately grounded. So we can show my VGS here. So VGS is between gate and source, minus and plus. And similarly, VDS is between drain and source. So I can show my VDS here, plus minus, drain and source. And the current ID would flow like this. If VGS is greater than VTU, then there would be some channel here. So this current would flow through this channel, and the amount of current flowing through the channel will depend upon VGS. So VGS controls the conductivity of the channel. VGS controls the conductivity of the channel. More conductivity, more current. Less conductivity, less current. So in a way, we are controlling the conductivity of the channel. So just to recall, the resistance of the channel is rho L by A. Okay. So in the JFET, you are controlling the cross-sectional area. In the JFET, you control the cross-sectional area by giving a reverse bias or not, or increasing or decreasing the reverse bias. But here, you are directly controlling rho. In the MOSFET, you are controlling the rho. So if my VGS is more than the threshold voltage, then the resistance will fall, so current will increase. And if VGS is less, then resistance will be more, current will decrease. So that is how we basically control the current in the channel with the help of VGS and VDS. So please show these connections. Only what is expected is connections. That's it. Now we have to do three cases. Case 1, case 2 and case 3. Case 1, case 2 and case 3. So this is the way in which we can explain the characteristics of the NMOS. So let us go to case 1. This part, before going to the next part, we have the region between drain and source defines the length of the channel, and the region, the extension of this behind, the extension of this structure behind defines the width. So we have length and we have width. So L mostly constant, and what we generally change is can be changed. Can be changed. So the diagram is the same. So now you all will write case 1. You will all draw case 1. Write like this. VGS is less than threshold voltage. So if the gate voltage is less than threshold voltage, what we will get here? Okay, so now basic questions. If VGS is less than VTO, can we say VGS is greater than 0 but small? VGS is greater than 0 but small. For example, if VGO is 1, VTO is 1 volt, then when we write like this, VGS is less than VTO means it is less than 1 volt. So less than 1 volt means it is positive, it might be 0.5, it might be 0.6. So 0.5 and 0.6 are positive, but they are not as high as threshold voltage, which is the voltage required to form the channel. And that is the reason why when VGS is less than VTO, we say that gate voltage is positive but small. Gate voltage is positive but small. So positive but small means the MOS is in depletion region of operation. The MOS is in depletion region of operation. Now, if it is in depletion region of operation, then we get a depletion region in the channel region. We get a depletion region around the channel region. In the channel region, there are only negative immobile ions. There are only negative immobile ions. So you will draw this structure again, and like how I am drawing, you will only show negative immobile ions like this. You will only show negative immobile ions. Yes. So you can see I have drawn a negative charge, but I am circling it. That means we will not get, this is negative immobile ions. Why negative immobile ions? Because gate voltage is positive but small, so there is nothing there. No free charges are there. Hence no current. So the ID which flows in this region is going to be 0. The ID which is going to flow in this region is going to be 0. And hence this region is called as cutoff. So case 1, when VGS is less than VTO and whatever may be the value of VDS, let's say 5, this is 0.5. So channel is not formed, so there is no connection between drain and source. And since there is no connection between drain and source, we can say that even if you apply some voltage, the current is not going to flow because technically there is an open circuit between drain and source. So that is the issue. So please copy this for in 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will go to the next one. So case 1, VGS is less than VTO and VDS is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so my case 1 is the same, but let us just look at the explanation. Application of positive gate voltage VGS, which is less than VTO, will create a depletion layer beneath the gate. So here what is getting created is a depletion layer. Depletion layer will have immobile ions. The depletion layer is full of negative immobile ions, and most importantly it is non-conducting in nature. Hence there is no conducting path between drain and source. There is no conducting path between drain and source. And hence, if there is no conducting path, it's like an open circuit. I hope you all know what is the meaning of open circuit. And therefore, ID is equal to 0. Therefore, ID is equal to 0. The device is said to be in cutoff region. The device is said to be in cutoff region. So please note that case 1 is called as cutoff. Case 1 is called as cutoff. So when you are playing only with VGS, that time you will encounter accumulation, depletion and inversion. Now you can see I have introduced drain and source also along with gate and body. So that time the FET action comes into the picture, and now we no longer call it as MOS, but we call it as MOS FET. Potential barrier due to the depletion charge density in this region prevents the free electrons from entering the depletion layer. So prevents the free electrons. So the voltage at the gate is not sufficient to pull in more and more electrons. Therefore, only a depletion layer can be formed, but only a depletion layer can be formed, but the voltage is not enough to form the channel. So this case is pretty straightforward. When VGS less than VTO, whatever may be the value of VDS, high, low, 0, whatever, it is cutoff region. So this region can be easily defined on the characteristics. VGS less than VTO means cutoff. Simple. Now, let's go to case 2. Let's go to case 2. Now, case 2 is VGS greater than VTO. That means we are doing now some effort to form the channel. So first thing is we are trying to make VGS greater than VTO. Means what? Here channel will be formed. Channel will be formed. But we do not know whether it extends between drain and source or so there is a big or here, or it is pinched off, whether it is pinched off. So we don't know what is the condition. We know that okay, when VGS is greater than VTO, channel will be there, but whether it will be touching both drain and source or whether it will be pinching off from the drain side, that we do not know. and hence there are two conditions on VDS. So the first one is VDS is less than VGS minus VTO, and the second one is VDS should be greater than VGS minus VTO. So here this we are adding this part just to indicate that whatever may be the case, VDS is less than VGS minus VTO or VDS is greater than VGS minus VTO, it is not going to be negative. That is the reason why we are adding that 0. That means VDS is between 0 and some positive value, and VDS is greater than that particular positive value. So the deciding point is actually VGS minus VTO. So in this region of operation, case 2, you will show a channel which is like this. You will show a channel which is like this. You can see I have drawn the channel which is trapezoidal in shape. It's trapezoidal in shape. That means it is more on the drain, it is less on the drain side. The thickness is more on the drain side, and it is less, it is more on the source side, and it is less on the drain side. And apart from this, you will also have to show the depletion region, because as we all know, first we get depletion and then only we get inversion. So inside the depletion region, we will show an N channel. We will show an N channel. So you will show these charges like this, how I am drawing here. In this fashion. So this thing becomes the N channel, and the N channel is inside the depletion region. It is inside the depletion region. How much is the charge inside this? QBO, coulombs per centimeter square. We have done problems on this to actually find out how much is this QBO. Yes, Ritika, do you want to say something?
Sir, why that channel isn't narrow towards the source?
Yes, so this is the first question that you are going to ask. Can you just tell me who asked this question? I could not get it.
Rutvij.
So Rutvij asked why this channel is big on the source side and small on the drain side. Okay, so I am coming, that is the next thing that we are going to do. So this is the first question that you should ask, which Rutvij has asked. And the second question should be that now if the current is flowing, if the current ID is flowing, what is the formula for this ID? So that should be your second question. So there are two questions here. Number one is why the channel is like this, and the second question should be if current flows now, what is the equation for the current? So that is the second thing. So we are coming to that now. That is, first thing is, if VGS is greater than VTO, an N channel is induced between the drain and source due to the phenomena of what? So this phenomena is called as surface inversion. Now, therefore, there is a conducting path between drain and source. If there is a conducting path, then if VDS is 0, naturally ID is 0. That means I have 2 points, drain and source, and I am connecting a voltage across this, and the value of this voltage is 0. Then how much is the current that will flow? ID will also be 0. That is common sense. Now, if VDS increases, naturally ID will also increase. Most importantly, linearly with VDS. Hence, if VGS increases, the N channel, if VGS increases, the N channel conductivity increases. Please note these words, I am underlining them. If VGS increases, you are increasing the conductivity of the channel, and if conductivity increases, ID also increases. So you get some kind of linear relationship between these terms. So you can see here ID increases from this point and this point. If VDS increases, ID also increases. If VGS increases, channel conductivity increases, and hence ID also increases. That means ID is a function of both VGS and VDS. ID is a function of both VGS and VDS, and this region of operation is called as linear or ohmic region of operation. Linear or ohmic region of operation. Ohmic, why? Because mostly we use this condition to operate the MOSFET as a low resistance. We use it for this purpose. So this is the reason why we call case 2 as linear region of operation. Now, coming to Rutwij's question, and in addition to that my question, what is the value of the current? So don't write these things on the slide now, just try and listen to what I am saying. Only main points you take down. Slide today by end of the 101% you will get, since our teams are now finalized. So the shape of the channel. So coming to the first doubt, that why the shape of the channel is like this. Now let us say that our VGS is constant. That means the voltage on the gate side, that is gate, is constant with this. So we are not touching VGS as such. We are keeping VGS greater than 0, greater than VTO, and then leaving it. Now it can be noted that VGD is equal to VGS minus VDS. So you can just note it this way, that VGD, this is VGS plus minus, VGD is here plus and minus, VG minus, and this is plus minus. So your basic BEE should tell you that VG, if you apply a KVL here, if you apply a KVL like this, then you should get VDS plus VGD minus VGS equal to 0, and from this you can write VGD is equal to VGS minus VDS. So that's what we have written here. So you can see now that if VDS increases, VGS is fixed, it's not changing. So what will happen to VGD? It is going to decrease, and because of this, the surface potential on drain side will become less than the surface potential on the source side. Surface potential on the drain side will reduce than the surface potential on the source side. So VGS is controlling the surface potential on source side and VGD is controlling the surface potential on drain side. But because we are increasing VDS, my VGD will come down, but this will remain constant. So that is why the thickness here remains fixed, but the channel thickness on the drain side becomes a function of VDS, and this is the reason why the N channel thickness is a function of surface potential. So we have already seen the formula for XD, and in this phi S is actually this is a function of surface potential. So the surface potential depends upon VGD and VGS. So phi S will depend upon VGS and VGD, and that is why the thickness on the drain side will decrease, and hence there is a tapering of the N channel towards the drain side. So there is a tapering of the N channel towards the drain side. Now the question arises that what if I increase VDS? So now my VDS is less than VGS minus VTO. My VDS is less than VGS minus VTO. So what will happen in the channel region if VDS, if VDS is equal to VGS minus VTO, and if VDS becomes greater than VGS minus VTO. So before that, we also need to look at what will be the current in the channel region. So the shape of the channel part I have addressed. Now let us go to what is the current, that is the equation of current flowing in this particular region of operation. So ID is equal to mu n COX W by L VGS minus VTO into VDS minus VDS square by 2. So this is the equation of the current. Now mu n is the mobility of electrons, which is generally fixed at 300 degree Kelvin. COX, I have already told you how to calculate it, and W and L is the length and width of the MOSFET. Now out of this, if I multiply only mu and COX, that part is called as process transconductance. It is called as what? Process transconductance. It does not involve the W by L factor. And once you involve that W by L factor also, that means Kn dash into W by L will give me Kn, which is called as the device transconductance. And if you take this 2 outside, if you multiply here by 2 and take this 2 outside, you can also write the current equation in this way. So quickly write the equation for current in this region of operation. Come on. And while writing, if there are some small questions, I'll take it. And this entire thing, that is mu n cox w by L, we can write it as Kn also. Okay, so in many of the books you will find this equation like this. So these terms we can write it as Kn. So ID is equal to simply Kn by 2 times of Vgs minus Vto into Vds minus Vds square. So here we have to do some observations, not physically but slightly mathematically. So here you can see ID is a linear function of VGS, but ID is a parabolic function of, so ID and VGS linearship is linear, whereas this VDS relationship is parabolic. It is linear and in one case it is parabolic. So if you say ID as a function of VGS, if VDS is constant, then it will be linear, and the relationship between ID and VDS will be parabolic if VGS is constant. That's what we do in input and output characteristics. That is, when we are plotting ID versus VGS, we keep VDS constant, and that is why the relationship comes out to be more or less linear. But when it comes to ID as a function of VDS, then the equation becomes parabolic. So if you are done with this, let's go ahead. Now, this equation, the same equation, I have taken it on the next slide. This equation is a parabolic function of VDS. Parabolic function of VDS, and I have just written here L and is width of the MOSFET, L is the length of the MOSFET. So nothing new as compared to the previous slide. So what actually happens is, if you look at ID versus VDS, the relationship is going to be parabolic. The relationship is going to be parabolic. So parabolic means you are looking at ID as a function of now VDS. So we are assuming VGS to be constant. But what is this constant value? So I say I don't know. The answer is that I don't know. So we say that, okay, what is the meaning of I don't know? So you keep something. So we say, okay, I'll keep VGS as 1 volt, then 2 volt, then 3 volt, then 4 volt, and so on, whatever I want. So I am going to plot these characteristics for different values of VGS, that is VGS1, VGS2, VGS3, and so on. So first, if I substitute the values, so ID is Kn by 2 times of VGS minus VTO minus VDS square. So you can see that for some value of VGS1, I'll get some maxima, and then ultimately the curve should fall. For some other value of VGS, again this should happen. For some other higher value of VGS, it goes to a higher value, and again it comes back, and this is the highest value. So like this you can go on, there is no end to it. But we have taken 4 values of VGS, that is VGS 1, 2 and 3, and VGS 1 is less than VGS 2, less than VGS 3, less than VGS 4. So you can see that the characteristics achieves a maximum point, okay, and the locus of all these maximum points is called as VGS minus VTO locus. It is called as VGS minus VTO locus. The graph exhibits negative transconductance, but a practical MOSFET never exhibits negative transconductance. So this is not exhibit. This is, you can see here, this portion is exhibiting negative transconductance. So why conductance? Because it's a function of ID versus VDS, that is a current versus voltage. So this is the reason why. So it does not exhibit negative transconductance. In fact, current remains constant. In fact, the current remains constant. Now, the current remains constant. So this region is called as linear region of operation, and this region is called as saturation region of operation. So this point becomes the deciding point. This point becomes the deciding point. This point decides whether the transistor is in linear or saturation, and this point is nothing but VGS minus VTO. So to check whether the transistor is in linear or whether it is in saturation, we have to always do this test. We have to find out whether VDS, that is this point, VDS is greater than VGS minus VTO, or it is less than VGS minus VTO. So if it is less, then we call this as linear region, and if it is more, we will call it as the MOSFET is in saturation. So this is how we decide whether the transistor is in linear or saturation. So this is basically my output characteristics. And this we have also seen in our lab, that we get such kind of characteristics and we call it as output characteristics. Now, from the characteristics, it can be observed that if VDS increases, ID decreases linearly with VDS. Sorry, not decreases, it should be increases linearly with VDS. ID reaches a peak value. ID reaches a peak value at VDS equal to VGS minus VTO. Thereafter, the graph exhibits negative transconductance. Thereafter, the graph exhibits, and please use the word the graph, not the device. So mathematics tells us that the current should fall, but it does not. And that gives rise to my third case, that is, what if VDS is greater than VGS minus VTO? However, negative transconductance is not exhibited by a practical MOSFET. Instead, ID remains a constant. Hence, the above equation for ID is valid only in the region 0 less. So it is, so whatever equation we spoke is valid only in this region. Is valid only in this region. The locus of all points where ID reaches a peak value is called as VGS minus VTS locus, and it is parabolic in nature. So this was the explanation for the linear region of operation. Now what happens is that in case 3, we say, okay, VDS was less than VGS minus VTO. Now what if VDS is greater than VGS minus VTO? So what happens here is that now my channel gets slightly pinched off. My channel gets pinched off. At VGS minus VTO, it is just on the verge of pinch off. So here this channel is already pinched off, and here I am just showing it is on the verge of pinch off, and of course all this obviously happens only inside the depletion region. So that depletion region is always there when you actually show the channel. So here we are having minus, minus, all negative immobile ions. It will be there here also, you can show it here. So this is the negative immobile ions. So I am showing a channel here. This is a channel which is pinched off, and this dotted line actually represents a condition when VDS is equal to VGS minus VTO. So okay, there are two conditions in this. VDS is greater than or equal to. So we need to explore both. What if it is equal to VGS minus VTO, and what if it is greater? So dotted line represents the equal to condition, and VDS greater than VGS minus VTO. So this happens here, and this thing happens for VDS greater than VGS minus VTO. So this is our case 3. So please note this diagram. I'll give you 2 minutes to just copy this thing. So I am using the same diagram again and again to explain this thing. Okay, we'll just overshoot by 5 minutes because your earlier lecture finished 5 minutes late. So generally my lecture will never overshoot, but considering today's case, so please copy this. Okay, let's go ahead. So here the drain current measurement with constant VGS shows that ID does not show much variation. So ID does not show much variation as VDS is greater than VGS minus VTO. Okay, beyond the boundary, which is VDS equal to VDS sat, and this is actually equal to VGS minus VTO. The saturation level can be found, so this VDS sat can be found by substituting VDS as VGS minus VTO in the linear current equation. in the linear current equation. So this was the linear current equation. In this, if we substitute VDS as VGS minus VTO, we will get saturation current equation. And if we substitute that, we can see here that VDS is substituted as VGS minus VTO, and this is also substituted here. And you can see this will give me 2 times of VGS minus VTO the whole square, minus this will be VGS minus 1 time the VGS minus VTO the whole square. So that should give me ID is equal to Kn by 2 VGS minus VTO the whole square. So you must have done this equation. ID is equal to K into VGS minus VTO the whole square, where K is actually Kn by 2, and that is actually mu n cox W by L, and the unit of K is, so obviously K is ID upon VGS minus VTO the whole square. So this is in generally in milliamperes, and this is voltage square. So the unit of K is milliamperes per volt square, or many times it is even microamperes per volt square. So that is how we get the equation of current, that is ID. Now here there is a typical case, that is at VDS equal to VGS minus VTO, channel thickness at drain side is 0. Channel is pinched off at the drain end as shown by dotted line. So I have drawn the channel and I have also drawn the dotted line. So this at VDS perfectly equal to VGS minus VTO, the channel is on the verge of pinch off. And for VDS greater than VGS minus VTO, the drain side depletion region widens, channel pinch off increases, and the effective channel length is going to decrease, that is L dash is now less than L. So in this previous case, in the previous diagram itself, I can show you that here this entire thing was L, but because I applied something, now this thing has become, my length has slightly reduced, so it has become L dash, and this thing is now delta L. So the amount of pinch off is delta L, and this is, so we can also write that delta L is L minus L dash, that is the amount of pinch off. So for VDS greater than VGS minus VTO, the drain side depletion region widens, the channel pinch off increases, and the effective channel length decreases. So we get something like delta L is L minus delta L. Now delta L, this pinch off actually happened, because you are increasing VDS. So we say that delta L is a function of VDS. Now if delta L is a function of VDS, why ID remains constant, and if there is pinch off, how ID flows? So this is a very obvious question कि अभी pinch off हुआ है, channel has broken down, there are no connections, so how this thing actually happens? So we can look at the channel exists between drain and source. So we say RC is the channel resistance. RC is the channel resistance. Now the resistance of the channel is controlled by the conductivity, that is it represents the conductivity of the channel, and conductivity depends on VGS. and VGS is fixed. We are not touching VGS. When we came from case 2 to case 3, we did not touch the first condition. We did not touch VGS. VGS was greater than VTO in case 2 also, and it was greater in case 3 also. So here what happens is that the channel, the conductivity of the channel remains the same, and the excess voltage, that is VDS minus this thing, appears across. This represents the depletion rate. So this is generally low and this is generally high. Now the depletion region has got QBO. The depletion region has got QBO, coulombs per cent, that is depletion charge density, and we know QBO can be overcome by voltage. You can overcome this by voltage, and to overcome this voltage, we are having a very large voltage in a very small space. So this space, that is delta ID or delta L, will be just something in nanometers, and even if this is 2 volts and if this is 1, so even if the difference is 1 volt, so there will be 1 volt in 1 nanometer. So the electric field will be volts upon meters, so that is going to be 1 gigavolts per meter. Okay, so it's a huge electric field in a very small space which can overcome QBO, that is depletion charge density, and because of which the current can still flow. And that is the reason why, so since VGS is a constant, the N channel conductivity is constant. Hence VGS becomes greater than VGS minus VTO, and VDS sat remains as this. The excess VDS is VDS minus VDS sat, which will appear across the pinch-off region. This leads to a large electric field in the pinch-off region from the drain to the pinched-off channel. As a result, the electrons on the channel overcome the barrier due to depletion charge density QBO and can reach the drain. However, when the electrons move from source to drain, their velocity is fairly constant. Velocity is fairly constant. So velocity is constant means rate of flow of charge is constant. Rate of charge flow is constant, and if rate of flow of charge is nothing but current, and hence current is also constant. So that is the reason why the channel voltage remains a constant, and therefore ID also remains a constant. So ID not only flows but it is constant also. So the pinch-off part is taken care of. The excess electric field and the conductivity of the channel remains constant because we did not change the value of VGS, and these two conditions help us constant flow of current in the saturation region of operation. So that is why ID remains a constant. So this is something that one should know, and I think we will stop here because it has been 7 minutes past 5. So we will just stop here. And next class, I want you all to revise what we have done in the previous